Alright, so in this video, I'm going to do downsides of living in the Dominican Republic. This is usually the video where I get the most death threats, but it's okay. I want to do this to make people aware of certain things they may come across while they're in the country. But with that being said, let's start off with the first one, and that is the stray dogs in the country. Now, this was definitely a culture shock. The country I was living in before the Dominican Republic, I barely saw stray dogs, even whether I was in the city, country. It didn't matter. Pretty sad sight, man, if you're like a dog lover, because a lot of them, they look like they're in, like they're just barely making it. But unfortunately, sad to say, you do get used to it. That is one downside. Waking up, you walk outside and you just see 3 or 4 dogs just, man, looking rough. The second downside is the trash that you see. I think a lot of it's self-inflicted because I've seen this many times where somebody just walking, eating a candy, they throw the wrapper on the ground, or they blow their nose and they walk over and put it in the bushes. I've seen 2 crazy things that it made me think, like, why would you do that? I saw one man, he had a bag full of trash and he walks out to the bushes and then pours the trash out of the bag into the bushes, which made no sense to me. I also saw another instance where on the Malecon, and if you don't know what that is, it's basically like a boardwalk on the side of the ocean. And they have trash bins all over the Malecon. So I saw one man with a big bag full of trash, and he just basically swung it into the ocean. I was just like, why? Like, there are trash bins. Like, why don't you just put it in one of those or put it on the side for somebody to come pick up? But no, he threw it into the water. And I believe the stray dog situation kind of adds to the trash situation, because a lot of times they'll knock down the bins to try to find food. They'll rip open the bags of trash. The wind blows, the trash goes everywhere. So the third con are the power outages that they have here. This can be a significant problem for some people depending on a few factors. One, a generator. Chances are, if you're staying in a nicer area, a nicer complex, you're probably going to have a generator. So when the power goes out, you're just fine. However, it can be a problem for those who, and this is why I believe the Dominican Republic is more of it's not really a digital nomad kind of expat destination. I believe it's more of a retirement destination, because let's say you're working online, you're on a business Skype call, or you're teaching kids English, and then the power cuts off. Now you gotta wait for the generator to kick back on. You gotta wait for the Wi-Fi to reboot. You gotta log back in. It could be very unprofessional, and it could be bad for business. But if you're a retiree, you already got your money coming in, power goes out, which chances are you probably have a generator, but if you don't, you just grab a beer and walk out to the beach and you're good. So the power outages, to me, can be a huge problem depending on your situation. The next downside for me is the cost of living. Now, I'm not saying the Dominican Republic is this crazy expensive place, but when you compare it to other popular relocation destinations in Latin America, I think you can find other areas that will offer you more, but you'll actually pay less. One case in point, one example for me is I was living in Colombia and I was paying less, but I received more as far as I had clean tap water, the power stayed on, there wasn't stray dogs running around everywhere, and et cetera, et cetera. So again, I just think there are other areas where you can relocate to where, your money will go further. And last but not least, this next downside I was warned about before I went to the island, and that is the kind of hustle life that's there. And I think it has a lot to do with how the country operates. And what I mean by this is that tourism brings in a lot of foreigners with money. And it also brings a lot of people trying to take that money from those foreigners or from those tourists. And so the Dominican Republic is a very touristy island. So you'll come across a lot of that hustle atmosphere, which I'll just give you guys a few examples. Usually when I'm in a country and I'm lost, I like to kind of communicate with the locals. So I'll ask them for directions. And I did that one time. I was looking for a bus and I asked the man where it was. He showed me. We didn't walk too far. And when I was about to get on the bus, he tapped my shoulder. He had his hand out. He wanted a tip. Kind of caught me off guard. I mean, we didn't even go that far. Another example is, I caught a moto taxi, which I normally don't do. I had to because the area I was at didn't have Uber. But, asked one of the guys, hey, how much to the bus stop? He said 500 pesos. I was about to walk to somebody else. And he said, no, 200 pesos. I said, okay. We get to the bus stop and he says 500 pesos. So now we're going back and forth because the original price was 200. And he eventually took the 200, but just little stuff like that kind of gets to me, the kind of hustle, trying to, squeeze as much as you can. But with all that being said, these are just a few downsides of living in the country. There are still other things I like about the country, and I'll probably make another video about that. But I appreciate you guys watching. Hope the video has helped you, and I'll catch you guys at the next one. Deuces.